we had a man from England, Dan Raza.
Yeah.
And he was just on tour. And after the festival, I said, well, come on and hang out in Madison for a while. And he wasn't even scheduled to play, and you said, tell your friend from England that he's welcome to play here.
And all of a sudden we had 60 people who saw a singer-songwriter who's popular in London. You know,
Yeah.
how does that happen? I was back here in Madison about 10 years ago, and you were playing at the VFW. I think it was over Christmas.
I think it was happy hour.
Was it the happy hour?
I think it was the happy hour.
happy
You were
hour.
with your friends, which my brother was part of the group you were with.
Yeah, and you were playing, and you said you were coming down to Austin, and I went up there probably holding a beer saying, hey, I live down there. If you come on down, you're playing right at my neighborhood bar. You should come and hang out with us.
Pootie's Roadhouse.
Pootie's Roadhouse was my closest bar to my house.
Right. It was great to be down there. And then he says, well, you have to stay with us. And then that started the thing to where every time I would go down. And I did make a record down there, and you helped me do that.
After you came down to Texas and did a couple tours, and I got to meet some of your friends down there, and then when I moved back up here, you're like, hey, I'll bring these guys up. I'll bring these guys and gals to Madison. They're coming through or whatever. And you did a great job of convincing folks to make the extra effort, drive the extra hour or two to come out and give us some music here out on the prairie.
Yeah, it was. They're always looking for a place that people will listen. If you're touring as a songwriter, I think they've always had that here.
Yeah.
I mean, from the very first concert we did, and then where you go on break a little, and the people start talking, and you just have to say, "Hey, we're back," and
we're up here again.
And it all worked out because now they know that, hey, Charlie's bringing some
heavy hitters.
Some heavy.
I sort of remember sitting around with a bar napkin, writing some ideas down, like, hey, what if we could have a music tour? What if we could convince these people to come out to the prairie? How about people that are going from Texas to Canada? Make this a stop on their journey. And I think it all came to fruition because you have those great relationships with all of those musicians, and they respect you. So when Charlie said, this is a good place to go, they believed you, and they sure did show up.
Yeah, I remember, even before they would come through, and I'd try to help them and find a place. Even this one gal, she came from. They were going to Alberta, Canada, and they were out of gas. They were driving a big motorhome, and down at the VFW, I said, "These people need your help," and the tip jar went around. And I think it was like $350, and they actually made it back to Alberta.
That's awesome.
And that's what this town, that's the best part of small towns, is because, it's the best part of being a Minnesotan too, in this part of Minnesota. That's really prevalent if you know.
Yeah, people will be there for you.
Yeah.
Well, you've been there for me, Charlie, and I want to tell a story that you may not remember.
Okay.
So shortly after I decided to move back to Minnesota, and I maybe hadn't even moved back yet, but I stopped at your farm up by St. Cloud, by Foley, right?
Yep.
Came in and visited with you and Bev, and I was in a pretty bad place.
Right.
I'd lost my husband. I wasn't sure what I was going to do, and you said something to me that made a difference. Do you remember that? You looked at me and you said, "Okay, I get it. You're hurting. But at some point, you're going to have to stop being the widow and start living your life."
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And
it was pretty obvious, but the grief is that's a process that you can't hurry that. But I knew at some point you would, find your footing and find what's going on, what happens now.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, and I'll always remember that moment, that day, and I think you and other people, kind of gave me that courage to say, all right, I can start something new, and that's the mark.
You bet, and it's just the talk of the town now. It's like you build it and they will come, and I remember kind of thinking like well, man, she might be crazy buying this big building. And
You weren't the only one.
and sometimes you would ask yourself that too, I bet.
Daily.
Yeah.
Daily, yeah. And, I've been known to walk around and say, well, this is my crazy idea. But really, people like you and others have said, no, don't say it's crazy. Say it's needed. Say it's bold. Say it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And it really has turned into that. People appreciate coming to the Merc. They appreciate the support that you've given the Merc. They know that when they come here, they're going to see something new almost every time.
About 3 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 3 years.
It's hard to believe.
Yeah, and it grows every time I come here. I see like different little rooms, and somebody's going to try doing a yoga or
something new every day.
Art studio or whatever. But the thing about we're standing on the stage, and I remember having just wondering, I wonder if anybody's going to show up, and if they do show up, will they talk during the songs and just by sheer will, we just made it happen. I think it wasn't anything that, but you had to kind of prove it every time.
And now, thanks to you, we've kind of gotten this reputation as the place to stop out here. And people are reaching out to us now and saying, hey, I've got this touring grant. I've heard you've got a great room. Can I play there? So you've started something that is growing and growing, and I just want to say thank you.
Yeah,
It's been a great collaboration. And
yeah, I'm every time I think I always look forward to coming back and bringing somebody else now. And Dave Stoddard played here. He's next time he's coming with me. He's playing
one of my favorites.
He plays with bass with me now, and it's like he bought a bass guitar and said, what, Dave Stoddard? He's one of my favorite guitar players.
There's been a lot of talent on this stage, and a lot of it's because they know you, and you brought them along.
We had a man from England, Dan Raza,
and
he was just on tour. And after the festival, come on and hang out in Madison for a while. And he wasn't even scheduled to play, and you said, tell your friend from England that he's welcome to play here.
And all of a sudden we had 60 people who saw a singer-songwriter who's popular in London. How does that happen?
He's back in London, and he was in Germany, and then he's going to Thailand, but this is Dan. I saw him when he was 30, and now he's 40.
Yeah.
I was over there in England. But, that's the kind of people we'd like to have come back, and make it a part of his journey. He knows he's welcome.
Right. And I feel like the stage and the musicians that come here kind of give people some ideas about what they can do. We have young kids who are taking piano lessons now. We have folks who are picking up the guitar who didn't know they could play. We have a gentleman that comes on Thursdays that teaches guitar lessons. And I think especially when kids can see themselves in the people up here, it gives them the idea, the courage, the hope, and the ability to make that kind of life for them as well.
But I'm just happy that it's working out.
Yeah.
Because build it and they will come.
Well, we know that everybody thinks of Madison as the home of the famous Charlie Roth.
You say Roth and
Charlie Roth. I know.
Roth.
I was like Roth. It depends. If you're in town, you got to say Roth.
Yeah, of course, Roth.
If you're outside of town, maybe you'll say Roth. But to us here in town, you'll always be Charlie Roth.
Thanks for inviting me on this little thing.
Thank you, Charlie, for all the support you've given us and all of the great talent you brought through the door. And I'd love to hear a couple little licks from you.
Well, this song about the small town cafe in heaven. You want to hear that?
Sure.
All day breakfast, meatloaf Monday, feed cap Friday, closed on Sunday. Come join the coffee club every morning at 7 at the small town cafe here in heaven. John Prine sings a sad one on the radio. Chuck the cook hums along with the tune. Kathy, the waitress, still can't stand that song. Order up, coffee cup, banana cream pie.
You need to write a new verse to that song.
What's that?
Something about the mark.
Well, I have to write a whole new song about the Merc.
I think that was a promise. Everybody hear that? Charlie's going to write a song about the mark.
You bet. Consider it done.
Okay, that's awesome.